Hey everyone, I hope you're all having a great day so far. So I'm going to answer the question, is being a contractor a business owner? And the short answer is it depends. In my view, yes, because of the entrepreneurial skills that you develop and the professionalism that you develop. But some may beg to differ depending on the lifestyle you're leading. So essentially, there are two types of tax that exist when it comes to contracting. There is inside of IR35 and there's outside of IR35. And essentially the difference is in how HMRC views you in terms of the work that you actually do. So let's break this down. So I've spoken about this in previous videos. So if you want something a bit more in depth, check those videos out. Now, if you're working inside of IR35, essentially you are doing roles that are deemed similar to roles that somebody working within the organization would do. So for example, let's say, for example, you work for the NHS as a project manager, very simple, okay? And you were brought in on an inside IR35 contract to work as a project manager, then you could argue that actually that role was always going to exist. Now, the question then becomes, is that project manager needed in perpetuity, so to speak, throughout the length of that organization? And by definition of a project manager, you would argue no, because projects end, okay? Now, you may have programs which is defined as a temporary organization. However, temporary is the operative word. So then you may argue, okay, what's the alternative to inside? This is where outside of IR35 comes into play. And so this is related to individuals who are doing work that is not deemed normal or regular or familiar to the organization. And this is where there is usually a finite or distinct, unique set of tasks or activities that need to be done by a specialist. And so HMRC deems that individual as a business, okay, or the person who is delivering or the organization who's delivering this as an entity being the business. So tax is different. They'll get, income tax and corporation tax, whereas with those inside of IR35, we taxed very similar to those who are employees for an employer. So whatever you see on your sort of like pay slip is exactly what you'd see for inside IR35 individuals. Now, some may argue, okay, I still don't get it. Like, how does it work, at least for the inside IR35? We get it for the outside because essentially your class as a business, you're getting taxed the same way, etc., etc. Well, essentially, if you're inside of IR35, you're not working to the client, you're doing work for the client being the organization where you're actually doing the work. So say, for example, my end client may be UKHSA, okay? So I'm doing work for them, I'm using their laptops, I'm speaking to their staff, etc., etc. That is deemed as the end client. However, who am I working to, so to speak? Well, usually in the eyes of HMRC, you're working to an umbrella company. Okay, so an umbrella company is a limited company that essentially does the accounts for you and works out all of the tax and everything else on your behalf if you're working inside of IR35. And so really and truly, you are working towards or working to that specific limited company. Now, do they really cater for you and all that kind of stuff there? They kind of leave you alone, okay? That's the honest truth. You'll pay a certain weekly sort of like expense, maybe it's £18 a week out of your salary, in addition to things like salary sacrifice, which is basically an expense that is made in order to, again, allow you to pay less tax. But really and truly, there's nothing else to it. You sign off your timesheets, they make sure you get paid, usually in arrears, sometimes 1 to 2 weeks or even 4 weeks in arrears of payments, and then weekly after that. And so why do I pose this question? Well, really and truly, you still have to find work, okay? So what I'm saying here is that as a contractor, whether you're inside or outside, you're still having to find work, you're still having to produce value, you're still having to show your expertise and that you can actually deliver on specific services. You're still going to have to negotiate terms when it comes to day rates and everything else. You're going to have to network with different people. You're going to have to build a brand that really edifies that you are the person to go to when it comes to X services. So really and truly, irrespective of the way you're being paid or irrespective of how HMRC taxes you, for me, you are an independent consultant. You are an independent consultant. I see myself as an independent management consultant, an IMC for sure. And that's because I'm doing everything off my own back. I'm not working for X consultancy that is bringing me work. I'm finding the work myself. And the way I find this work is, again, applying for things online, because like you would bid for services on some sort of procurement portal, whatever it may be, you apply for contracts, okay? Just like you would apply for jobs. It's the same thing. It's just a different narrative. Again, there's a finite timescale in which you are working for that end client. So again, there has to be some level of urgency, so to speak. You have to be able to validate and evidence value. And that's through experience. That's through the qualifications that you've had. That's through the value that you provide, whether it's through speaking to people, how you're perceived, or what you actually deliver on. That's through the knowledge that you have, okay? The specific methodologies and processes that you have on offer and that you can consult people on. All of these things are very important. I also need to make sure that, for example, my LinkedIn's on point. Now, everyone has a personal brand, whether they think they do or not, but it's even more important for the independent management consultant. And I say this because how else are you going to find work? You'll be judged based on not just how you look like, but again, what you evidence on. Are you confident in talking about the things that are related to what you're going to be doing? And it shouldn't be based on confidence, it should be based on experience. And if not experience, transferable skills that you can talk about in different sort of facets. And so all of this stuff is really important. And so to me, I've always said that being an independent management consultant, independent being the fact that you're doing this on your own and not attached to any consultancy, means that you are developing entrepreneurial skills. And this is phase 2, moving on to phase 3 of becoming a full-fledged entrepreneur, where you own your own business, providing a product and or service, usually services, especially if you're an IMC. And so with that in mind, if you believe that you're somebody who, would like to transition into the space, feel free to contact me on LinkedIn, or this is much more efficient. You can check out my independent consultant course for those people within the UK. You can check out the link below. And again, you can go through the different modules and understand what it takes to not only be an IMC, but also how you can transition within this space as well. Hopefully this was useful to you. Take care, God bless. And if you want to see more videos like this around portfolio careers and life management, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell. Understand, reach, and expand. Peace.